A simple, no-fuss chickpea noodle soup that delivers all the comfort you crave while likely leaving an extra few dollars in your wallet. Hello, I'm Catherine, and this is one of the very first recipes I created for Tasty Thrifty Timely, and we haven't done a video for it because it's a pretty simple soup. But a lot of you have been telling us in the comments lately that you are trying to eat more plant-based this year. And when I was new to eating plant-based, it was the winter, I got a cold, I wanted chicken noodle soup, and I didn't know what to do. So here's what you do. I replaced the chicken in this recipe with chickpeas or garbanzo beans. And this coincidentally makes this recipe cheaper, quicker, cleaner, and still delivers on protein and adds fiber, etc. So all you have to do is open up a can of chickpeas, give it a rinse, or for even more savings, you can get in the habit of cooking your chickpeas from scratch, freeze them, and then you always have them in your freezer for quick meals like this one. 2 cups of chickpeas cooked from scratch cost me just 40 cents. A can of chickpeas would cost me around $2.50, and chicken for this recipe would cost me around $8 or more. Not having to prep the chicken, clean up from the chicken, worry that the chicken is properly cooked are all additional perks. Start by sauteing 1 cup sliced onion and 4 cloves of minced garlic in a large pot over medium-low heat until softened and fragrant, about 1 to 2 minutes. If you're limiting oil, then just use a little bit of water or vegetable broth and keep a closer eye on it because the water or broth will evaporate more quickly, but you can just avoid the oil if you want to. Add about 2 cups diced carrot and 1.5 cups chopped celery or any other vegetables you like. Season with salt and pepper, stir, cover, and allow to steam for 5 minutes, stirring once or twice to make sure nothing is sticking. I tend to use about 2 to 4 medium carrots and 4 ribs of celery, but you can use any vegetables you have on hand, anything that you have frozen, and you can leave the peels on the carrots if you'd like. There's lots of nutrients in the peels, but I tend to peel them so that I can put the peels in my vegetable broth, which is going in right now. Add 8 cups vegetable broth and 2 cups cooked chickpeas, plus a few sprigs of thyme and a bay leaf if you have them. Raise the heat, cover the pot, and bring the broth to a boil. I find that thyme freezes so well. It's still so fragrant. So anytime I buy it, I actually just pop it into the freezer and then use it in recipes like this. Once boiling, reduce the heat to a simmer and add your favorite noodles or rice. I use 1.5 to 2 cups of pasta or just 1/4 to 1/2 cup rice. Both options will absorb broth, so be careful to not add too much. Stir periodically and simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the vegetables are tender and the rice or noodles are cooked. Carefully taste the broth and add more salt and pepper if needed. Now, the only tricky thing about making soups with rice or noodles is the broth that they absorb. So if you're using brown rice, then that's going to need a longer cooking time. Add it in as soon as the broth boils. If you're using noodles, then you can cook the soup until the vegetables are pretty much done and just add the noodles at the end for the few minutes that the pasta needs to cook. As the soup sits though, the noodles or the rice are going to continue to absorb broth. So if the soup ever gets a little too chunky, a little too dry for you, chunky doesn't sound great, but if you need more broth, just add more broth when you reheat it. And I always think, I wonder what is done to canned soups to not have the noodles absorb all the broth. Discard the thyme and bay leaf before serving and cuddle up with your warm bowl of chickpea noodle soup. So simple, so comforting. Feel free to change up the seasonings if you like. Give it a bit of a lemony flavor or add some spice. I've chosen to keep it really simple, but it's still delicious in its simplicity. And it's hot. So it's tasty, it's pretty timely, and for the thrifty part, I've already touched on the possible savings of using chickpeas instead of chicken. And to go even further, make your own homemade vegetable broth. It is so easy, and I wish I knew how easy it was earlier than I did. Anytime you use vegetables, just save the peels and the ends, toss them in a freezer bag. Then when you have a full bag, boil it, strain the liquid. Then when you have a full bag, boil it, strain the liquid, and you have nearly free vegetable broth. And vegetable broth is relatively inexpensive, but using my homemade vegetable broth for this soup saves me $6. So if you save $6 every time you make a soup or a risotto or anything else you use broth for, then that's not bad. Oh, and because I cook a lot. How you doing, Brian? Can I keep talking?
You can, go for it.
Because I cook a lot, I usually have this in my fridge as well as a backup. So this is a plant-based bouillon paste, and at least if you buy this, you're not paying for all the water that's in the package, like the containers of vegetable broth. And Better Than Bouillon actually has no chicken broth. So it's plant-based, but it tastes like chicken, and they have the same for beef. Oh yeah, and I've never had this go bad on me, and I keep it for a year. If you're a fan of these savings, then hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you know when we post a new video on Sundays. Thank you for watching. And next week, I'm going to make, by popular demand, my 5-minute oil-free mayonnaise. And I'll probably put it on something too.